Thomas is a tank engine who works at the big station on the island of Sodor. He's a cheeky little engine with 6 small wheels, a short stumpy funnel, a short stumpy boiler and a short stumpy dome. He's a fussy little engine too, always pulling coaches about for the big engines to take out on long journeys. And when trains come in, he pulls the empty coaches away so that the big engines can go and rest. Thomas thinks no engine works as hard as he does. He loves playing tricks on them, including Gordon, the big express engine. When Thomas isn't busy, he likes to trick Gordon by puffing quietly up beside him and waking him up with his loud whistle. "Wake up, lazy bones! Why don't you work hard like me?" One day, after pulling the big express, Gordon arrived back at the sidings very tired. He was just going to sleep when Thomas came up in his cheeky way. "Wake up, lazy bones! Do some hard work for a change. You can't catch me." And off he ran laughing. Gordon was very cross. Instead of going to sleep again, Gordon thought about how he could get back at Thomas. One morning, Thomas wouldn't wake up. His driver and fireman couldn't make him start. His fire went out and there wasn't enough steam. It was nearly time for the express. People were waiting, but the coaches weren't ready. At last, Thomas started. "Oh dear, oh dear," he yawned. He fussed to the station where Gordon was waiting. "Hurry up, you!" wheezed Gordon angrily. "Hurry up yourself," said Thomas. Gordon began making his plan to teach Thomas a lesson. Almost before the coaches had stopped moving, Gordon reversed quickly and coupled to the train. "Get in quickly, please," he whistled. Thomas usually pushed behind the big trains to help them start, but he was always uncoupled first. This time, however, Gordon started so quickly that they forgot to uncouple Thomas. Gordon's chance had come. Come on, huffed Gordon to the coaches. The train went faster and faster. Too fast for Thomas. He wanted to stop, but he couldn't. "Stop! Stop!" "Hurry, hurry, hurry!" laughed Gordon. Poor Thomas was going faster than he had ever gone before. He was out of breath and his wheels hurt him, but he had to go on. "I shall never be the same again," he thought sadly, as they finally came to a stop at a station. Thomas was uncoupled. He felt very exhausted. "Well, little Thomas," chuckled Gordon, "now you know what hard work means, don't you?" Poor Thomas couldn't answer. He had no breath. He just puffed slowly away to rest and had a long, long drink. I think Thomas has learnt his lesson, don't you? One day, Duck the Great Western Engine was at the works. He was getting a new whistle fitted as his old one was broken. The workmen were busy taking off his old whistle as Duck sat in the sun resting his buffers. He was just about to close his eyes when one of the workmen walked up to him. "It appears we don't have a whistle like yours, Duck. We do have a spare one for Oliver if you want to use that until your new one comes in." Duck didn't want Oliver's whistle, but he knew that without a whistle he couldn't be useful. So he agreed. "That's no problem," said Duck. "Anything to get my wheels moving again." Soon, Duck had the new whistle fitted and puffed out of the works, whistling as he headed back to his branch line. Duck was soon pulling his passenger train when he had to stop at a red signal. He blew his whistle so that the signalman could change the points. However, the signalman didn't realize that it was Duck. He thought it was Oliver, coming back with the breakdown train. So he switched the points and sent Duck down the wrong line. As Duck was puffing down the line, he couldn't help but notice that there was something wrong. "Wait a minute, this isn't the way to Holtra. This is going to..." "Duck, look out!" Duck and Oliver applied their brakes, but it was too late. Luckily, no one was hurt, but Oliver and Duck had come off the rails. "Duck!" cried Oliver. "Are you all right?" "I'm all right, Oliver," replied Duck. "I'm just glad my passengers aren't hurt. I just can't understand why the signalman sent me down the wrong line." Then Duck suddenly remembered. "My whistle!" Oliver was puzzled. "Your whistle?" "When I went to the works, they had no choice but to give me a spare whistle that was exactly like yours." "Oh, I see." "Yeah." Duck and Oliver couldn't help but laugh about it. Soon, Oliver and Duck were back on the rails. Sir Topham Hatt had some stern words for the Great Western engine. "Duck, I am very disappointed in you. I thought you knew how to handle whistles, but clearly you can't. You should only use your two tongues for emergencies only." "But sir," said Duck, "it wasn't my fault. The workers had to give me a spare whistle that sounded like Oliver's. I whistled to the signalman, and well, he must have assumed that I was Oliver." Sir Topham Hatt was cross, and spoke severely to the signalman. "You should have double-checked which engine was waiting at the junction," he boomed. "I know, sir. I'm really sorry, sir. It won't happen again, I promise." "I should hope so," and Sir Topham Hatt walked away. From that day on, Duck always ensured to only use his two-toned whistle in emergencies. And whenever he passes the signal box, he always toots once. Just in case. Reneus had returned back from the works, which meant that Sir Handel could finally be sent away to be overhauled. The other engines were kept so busy, however, that they didn't have time to miss him. The hedge cutters had been busy too, trimming trees and bushes beside the railway so that the passengers could see the view. Each evening, Rusty the maintenance diesel would often take some trucks up the line and would carry as many cuttings as he could. One day, Peter Sam had been put in charge of the morning train. The coaches were full of passengers, but Peter Sam didn't mind as he coasted along the dry rails. But no sooner had he rounded a bend, he found that in the night, a high wind had blown some old trees onto the line. Peter Sam came to a stop, and the crew jumped down to check what was the problem. "Oh, we'll never get through this," groaned the fireman. But Peter Sam was determined to get to the next station on time. "Pooh," he scoffed, "they're only little branches, nothing to it. We'll just simply push them aside." The driver and fireman tried to tell Peter Sam that that was a bad idea, but Peter Sam was having none of it. "Have it your way then," grumbled the driver. "But if we get stuck, you'll only delay the train more." So Peter Sam put bravely on. The branches slid away easily at first, but it didn't take long till Peter Sam came to a stretch of line where the cuttings were brambles. Peter Sam started to regret his boasting. Not only were the brambles prickly, but they caught in each other, causing them to stay firmly together. Peter Sam had no choice but to stop. "Ouch!" he exclaimed. "I can't move." His crew came out to inspect the damage. "I told you this would happen," said the driver. "You've got brambles caught in your valve gear," cried the fireman. "They're not allowing enough steam to go into your cylinders. We've got no choice but to cut them out." Peter Sam was embarrassed. It took some time, but eventually Peter Sam was finally free. The driver telephoned the thing controller to explain about the delay, and as soon as he came back, Peter Sam was able to carry on with his journey. Peter Sam went as fast as he could, trying to make up for lost time. At last they arrived at the station, where James was angrily waiting for them. "If you're late again," he wheezed, "I shall leave without your passengers." And James fumed away. Peter Sam's front was uncomfortable for several days. The others couldn't help but tease him about his prickly situation. "You should wear a snowplow next time," suggested Sir Handel, who had not long returned back from the works. At last, Skarloey told them to stop, but Duncan had other ideas. "I really can't think what all the fuss is about," he said. "They were only wee branches. After all, it's nothing to get prickly about."